So in this video, I'm going to be making four doors as well as two side panels and a back panel, all out of reclaimed materials. The inset is a newer material, but the outside are reclaimed. I have a more detailed video showing you how to make cabinet doors if you would like to look at that as supplemental information to this video, because I'm going to be running through this fairly quickly. So the first step is I needed two long rails for that back panel. I wanted to make it in one piece so I could connect it to the back of the cabinets and pull them all together. So this will be coming apart to transfer it. You could see in the video I'm jointing that piece of cherry on my table saw. And you could also see that that cherry has a fairly severe cup to it. So I jointed one side and then was able to rip it into the pieces I needed, which I believe was 3 inches wide. So I'm just squaring up both those ends and then I'm left with a 3-inch piece. So I could keep this cherry at the thickness that it is, which is about 1 inch, but in order to have a flat back to it, I ended up ripping about 1/4 inch off of one side of this. So in order to do this, I did it on 2 passes on my table saw. And then once I had those backs ripped off, I had a flat surface to reference from. That flat surface will be on the back side of the cabinet, so you won't be able to see it. And then the front side will still have that nice rough look of rough sawn lumber. Then with the rest of my pallet wood that I took off of my pallet, this is the same wood for the face frames. I'm ripping, this lumber's a little bit wider. I jointed it when I did the face frames. I'm ripping off one side so both sides are square, and then I'm just rough cutting these down to size. These are going to be my center and edge styles. So then, because it's pallet wood, the best way to go about cutting it down to size is I rip a small portion off each end, which leaves you with the nicer center section. So this is that piece of cherry, and it's hard to see in the video, but there's a very severe dip on one side of it. You can see when I lift it up just how crooked this piece still is, but you'll see when it's all said and done that everything stays flat. If you use that construction where you're kind of flattening up one back side. So then in order to attach all these pieces, I'm cutting a groove right in the center of my cherry, and I can reference off my fence that flat edge. The pallet wood, I don't make a flat edge on it, but this stuff wasn't super crooked. So the groove I'm making in the cherry for the little tongues that are going to be on the doors is 1 inch. Usually on cabinet doors I make it a 1/2 inch, but to make this a little sturdier I made those 1 inch. And then I'm cutting the same thing on the stiles for the panel. On the edges I cut one, and then on the center portions I'm cutting on both sides. So you can see from this shot, referencing off that flat back, while my lumber is still crooked, that groove that goes down the center is consistent, which is crucial to making all of these pieces fit together when you're using non-square lumber. So the end height of this panel has to be 35 inches tall. I'm making the whole thing a little oversized, and then I'll trim it down afterwards. So you can see I marked 1 inch on my panels on both sides, and that will give me the thickness for that inch tongue on either end and give me the height I need to cut these all at. So once I knew that measurement, I could take these to my radial arm saw and then trim them to their final lengths. So since this is just a decorative panel, it's going to be screwed to the back side of that cabinet, and that is why you can get away with making them similar to cabinet doors. So once I had my final length, I still had my dado stack in there from cutting those grooves, and then this is just a test piece going through and making sure I have the dado stack raised to the right height in order to get that proper thickness tongue that will slide into the grooves on either side of my piece. So once I had that, this is a little bit of trial and error, especially with pallet wood because they're all a little different. I could set my fence and then just cut all those tongues on either sides of my. Now, when I'm making cabinet doors out of newer materials, I don't really do this, but with this reclaimed lumber, there is going to be undulation amongst all of your pieces. So I have that cherry rail set up on the edge of my table saw, and each piece, as I'm cutting it, I'm making sure it's fitting and making micro adjustments in order to get all those pieces to fit. So once I had all those tongues, I measured center on my cherry. You could see the cherry's a little oversized, so I came in a little bit for either side, and I put my two edges in my center in, which gave me those two middle spaces, and then I can measure center of those so that all of these are aligned perfectly. Now you can't see in the video, but I have center marks on the cherry as well as center marks on the pallet wood, so whenever I take this apart and put it back together, everything's in the proper space. So then I could go through and measure the length and the width of my openings. I could add the thickness of that 1/2 inch on the width, and 1/2 inch would be an inch on the width, and then the inch and the inch on the bottom would be plus 2 inches to that rough opening, and I could cut my panels. Now this stuff was actually sheer luck that I found it. I didn't actually know they made it, and it's MDF that on one side has a pre-finished rough sawn lumber look. It's a very good fake. You can't even really tell it's not real lumber when it's in place. It is pre-finished in gray, but I believe this cabinet's going to be painted, so that's not a big deal. If you wanted to stain it, I would test it out before I went and bought a bunch of it. But if I was to make all these center panels out of reclaimed lumber, it would be a nightmare and a huge expense. So this stuff comes in 4x8 sheets. I could cut it down to size. It's a 1/4 inch thick, just like I would be using for cabinet panels, and slide all of that stuff into place, and then reassemble my bottom rail. And then this time of year, it's starting to get warm, so this was a great day. It was actually t-shirt weather, which just feels so good this time of year. And there's that panel slid into place on the back, and I don't actually glue this up and trim it to size till much later. So then came time for the doors, and I wanted the doors to be made out of something a little more structural than that pallet wood. So I had these old paneled doors. This is about an inch thick, and I cut them to, I think, eventually 2.5 inch wide, and it's old pine. So in order to use this stuff, I did have to strip off that top layer of paint, and it wasn't quite enough lumber to make all my doors, so I had part of an old 4-panel door in my shop, and I ripped it. Luckily, it was the exact same thickness as the other panels, which would save me a lot of time. So I just cut that apart and used all those thick pieces in order to get enough lumber for my doors. So once I had my pile of pieces on the parts that were tongue and grooved together on that flat panel door, I'm riding the tongue against the fence because that will be straight, and removing that groove, and then I'll be able to cut these all down to size once I have a flat surface on that one edge. So the final width of all of my rails and stiles is 2.5 inches. So then I go through and take all of my parts, my door parts, and those panel door parts, and cut everything to 2.5 inches. So once I had my rough sizes is when I decided to remove most of the paint. It just saves time. You don't have to take as much off. But luckily, as you can see from this part of the door, the paint was coming right off, which I think is a testament to the fact I have these in a storage unit and they're already old. So in the wintertime it's really cold, and in the summertime it's really warm, and I think that helps break down the paint on the surface and makes it really easy to remove, which is pure luck on these. I've had doors where you have to spend hours and hours scraping off this paint, but you could see that it just kind of chips pretty easily away on these parts. And I want a clean surface because I originally thought this whole piece was going to be stained, but now I think parts of it is going to be painted, but you still want to remove all that compromised paint before putting something new on it. Then making these cabinet doors is the exact same process as that decorative panel. I always use a test piece to get my center groove in the right spot. I'm just going to send this through. I'm putting a 1/2 inch groove through all of this, and since I said that those panels were 1/4 inch thick, it's a 1/4 inch dado stack in there. And then once this is done, all my stiles are finished, and I'll just have to cut tongues onto my rails. So taking that test piece, I'm going to go through and measure where that tongue should be, and then I could cut all my tongues. And these are easier to do than the reclaimed lumber because all of the pieces are much flatter and more square than that pallet wood. So I can just go through and cut all of those rails. Since it's 4 doors, I have 8 of these to do. So then once all that's cut, I could test fit my pieces. And I'm trying to keep the colors on these somewhat similar because, like I said, I believe this is being painted, but it might actually still be stained. Depends on what the customer wants. So it's easiest to tackle the staining issue if you're already working with similar size pieces. Then I could take some scraps of those inset panels, cut them down to size. All the doors are the same size. And then dry fit that together and then glue everything together after that. So then once the doors were done, I had to do the 2 side panels, and once again the construction of these is identical to the doors and that back display. It's just going to be 1 square panel to cover up the edges. The one edge that's against the wall you won't really see, but I still want to make a panel for it just in case they ever decide to move the bar. So this is the same pieces of cherry and some other scrap I had around the shop, and I'm jointing the one edge, cutting them down to the sizes I need, which is going to be similar to the sizes that were on the other parts in order to make everything similar. So 3 inches on the rails, and then the stiles were kind of the thickness I had. And then I'm ripping that one back edge clean so that I have a flat surface to reference for not only my grooves but also onto the bar. And once I had my pile of parts, I could put the groove in there, and you could see a little bit from this viewpoint just how crooked that pallet wood is. So I'm using a featherboard to keep it flush against the fence so that groove stays. So the nice thing about these side panels is they're going to be nestled in between the face frame and the back display panel, and my opening is the exact same size and square on both sides because my cabinets are square. So I was able to cut all of these pieces to exact width and length, and then they just kind of sit into that spot. So once I had them cut to size, putting the tongue on them just like the doors and the back display. Once I had them rough fit together, I could go through and cut my panel size based off of adding the dimensions to my rough opening. And then I glue all this stuff together at different parts in the video. I can't remember if I have footage of it, but the dry fit is enough that I could test it in place. You could see how that side panel fits in between that front face frame as well as the back. And then those will be screwed from the inside to the side as well, and that's how I'll be screwing the back. So before I mount my doors, I had my cabinets clamped together as they dried. I'm just putting some screws in there to attach the 2 cabinets so those can come out when it comes time to move it, and then I'll use those reference holes on site to put everything back together. Then these are going to be partial inset doors. This is my preferred method for reclaimed based furniture pieces. I just feel like it fits the piece the best out of all of the style doors. So this is a partial inset hinge with a spring on it, which will help close the door. And you have to put a 3/8 inch groove or a 3/8 inch rabbet on the edge of all the pieces, and the door partially insets inside your face frame. So I have my sacrificial fence on there, and I'm cutting that 3/8 inch groove. It's 3/8 by 3/8, and measuring to make testing to make sure it fits inside that groove, and then I could go through and do that for all of my panels. And once again, I have a much more detailed video on how to make and put hinges on partial inset doors on my channel, and a link in the description. But basically, since this is all reclaimed lumber, I cut that initial 3/8 inch groove. And then if it's off a little bit, you could go through and move your fence and make them a little wider if you have to. I believe this door that I'm cutting now was actually a little too small based off my rough opening, so I'm going through and adding a groove. So the size of these doors is based off the rough opening of my cabinet. You basically just add about 3/8 to a 1/2 inch onto all sides, so that when you cut that groove, they nestle in there quite nicely. You could see how that rabbets on either end, and it fits right inside that face frame. So then this is just a picture of all those doors in place, and I could put the hinges on them. So these hinges, most hinges you're supposed to cut your door into either 5ths or 6ths, and these are, I believe, were about 30 inches tall. So I came in about 6 inches on either side, and attached all of my hinges. These are very easy to attach. They just sit in that lip like I showed you earlier. I use a Vicks bit to attach one screw and then add the rest, and I'll do that on all of my panels. Once I had my hinges on there, you can put them into their holes. On these self-closing hinges with the spring, you kind of have to pry it out with a screwdriver first, and then I pre-drill those holes and add the hardware, and then these are set into place. Not only do I like the way these doors look on reclaimed lumber, you could also see I'm using a spacer on the bottom. It's about a 1/2 inch spacer to keep these all flat, but I find installing these with these types of hinges is probably the easiest of all the hinge types. And then this is the finished doors. And in the last video to this, I'll be making the edge grain butcher block top. All the little bits and pieces I have to do to finish it. There might be some footage of gluing everything together, and then obviously finishing it up.